You're watching The Crossover.
Oh,
Yo.
David, what's up, man? Where's Ezra? What account is Ezra on so I can send an invitation?
Oh my God, Ezra Levine.
Okay, all right.
That makes sense.
Great one. Well, this is like really, really like scary. Hi, Josh.
Hey, what's
Don't
up,
be
man?
scared, David. Okay, hold on. Don't be scared of my giant head up top here.
I'm used to your giant head.
Okay. All right, I sent an invite to Ezra.
I tried so hard to find the fucking Kleber to 5 just so I could present it as like my mail day. No, Christina, you're so fucked on that card. It's gonna take forever.
Yeah. That'd be amazing if somebody showed up with that card at the Mint Collective, wouldn't it?
That would
I'd
be
kill
amazing.
for that. How about this? I'm personally putting, if you don't know, Chris happens to have like the touch at the craps table. I will put $1,000 hard way down for anyone that gets the Kleber to 5 for Christina at the Mint Collective. He hits hard ways. He hits Scottie Pippen. He hits 44s. He hit Michael Jordan's retirement number. The table broke up a little bit early. Not saying why, but like at the end of the day, it was fucking amazing table. We went. Josh rolled insane.
Yep.
Stiff rolled insane. Who else was at that table?
David Owens. David Owens was teaching us he was teaching me on the fly how to play.
Dave Owens had the snap
Yep.
after his roll.
Yep.
Ooh.
He had all the little sayings too, making people money along the way and all that stuff.
There was Mikey.
Yeah.
He's all about good vibes. He kept saying good vibes.
Good vibes.
By the way, I gotta say, to all the hobby influencers that are like in their little mantra tent, finding their inner hobby, set collecting, I love you guys. Good vibes only. I actually feel good vibes for the hobby. I really do.
Oh, there he is.
What's up, boys?
Now I'm on
How
top.
are you?
I'm on the top. I'm good.
Can I
Finally,
ask you a question?
the good
Come
looking
over.
guy.
Come over. You have to come over now.
Okay.
People
Well,
can't know where this voice is.
Okay, so David, question. You
Shoot.
just said $1,000 to the person who finds the out of 5 neon green fast break 2020 Prism Maxi Kleber. You put a
Yeah.
bounty on it?
Yes.
What happens if I find it? Are you gonna pay me $1,000?
No, if you find the neon green out of 5 Maxi Kleber, you get the same shit. Hard way. Roll it however you want. Chris or Josh is rolling. Dave Owens gets the whoop. 1 of 3 rollers.
Nice.
Hard ways, all your money. Enjoy. Blah blah blah. Yada yada yada. Great.
All right.
I haven't been drinking at all. No Trulies here.
Okay. Christina's always trying to find the loophole. All right. Well, before we get to the heart of this discussion, can I just ask if there's any updates about the Mint Collective? I know a lot of people are really excited about it this year.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you guys want to take a couple seconds and talk about that before we talk about Bewick?
All right, fine. So I think the best part about the Mint Collective this year is that we took in everybody's feedback from last year. So definite updates. We have an extra day. We're going to separate thought leadership from the card show and trade show. So everyone's going to be able to learn, connect, network with each other. The vendors are actually going to have a chance to enjoy thought leadership and be part of the conference. That was definitely a miss last year. IMG, Collectable, we all realize that, and I think that's definitely a plus. I think that everyone's waiting for information. I'm really excited to say, keep on waiting. Information's coming. It's going to be great.
Be worth it.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing I can promise you is that we put a lot of thought and effort into the Mint Collective last year. Literally the first call I made on Mint Collective before IMG, before Luca Nation, frankly, before Ezra, was to Christina. And Christina gave it her stamp of approval, flat out. She got you and Josh on board. She got Ty on board. She got Mitch on board. She got Luca Nation on board. Collectively, like, we put a lot of thought into it. More thoughts going into it this year. I think the workshops are actually going to be a really interesting touch point for people to learn. I think that the events are going to be more interesting than last year. I think that the card show is going to be pretty fantastic, and it's going to be awesome. I'm done. Great. Love you guys. But
Now I know why Christina's had this big head.
no. So Christina and I were talking
Well earned.
yesterday. Wait until you see the Easter eggs that we put in for you and Ezra. You and Josh and Ezra are so fucked. Christina and I are plotting against you all. It's going to be great.
What else is
It's like
new?
it's like a wise man once said, FIFO. FIFO, right, Marino? Okay.
No,
All right.
no, Fiofo. Fuck in or fuck off.
That's it. Fiofo. All right. Okay, so let me now say hello to Ezra. We didn't introduce you guys. Everybody knows, I think, who you guys are. The brilliant minds behind Collectable and the Mint Collective and lots of great enterprises in the hobby. So, Ezra, as CEO, could you give us the quick elevator pitch on BWIC, bids wanted in competition at Collectable?
There you got it. Well, first I'll say, hey, this is well past my bedtime. I'm an early morning guy. I get up at 4:30. Chris, I had no idea that this show was on at 11 o'clock. I usually watch you guys on a repeat, not live here. So this is, late for me, but thrilled to be on with you guys. So, Collectible's launching a new product, right? So most people probably know us for fractional ownership. You know us from the Mint Collective. You know us from a bunch of other things we've done. We're launching a new product, one that we're very excited about. And one thing that we liked about this is it combines traditional collectors and people who are interested in fractional ownership, right? So think of a little David versus Goliath, right? Think of a traditional competitive bidding process, but with elements of both traditional financial market structures and fractional ownership all mixed in. So we're doing this launching Sunday night. It'll be a 7-day competitive bidding process. We have about 24, 25 pretty amazing assets. We got graded sports cards. We have, an amazing photo. Probably on the card side, we have a 52 Bowman Mantle 10, SGC 10. Pretty cool stuff. So this is 24, 25 assets. Introduce a couple of categories: comics, graded video games. I know very little about graded video games, but one lot that we have in particular has been described to me, and I think card aficionados will appreciate this. As think of a 52 Topps Mantle, an 8, a 7.5, and a 7, all in one lot. Pretty cool stuff. So we're really excited about this. Think of a 7-day competitive bidding process. David can talk a lot more about specifics of exactly how it works. But I think it's something that's going to be a unique innovation for the hobby. One thing Collectible's always tried to do, there's so many amazing companies, amazing auction houses, amazing entrepreneurs, marketplaces, you name it. Companies have been doing this for a hell of a lot longer than Collectible has, for sure, but also ones who are just do a terrific job, right? So Collectible's always tried to do things differently, to sort of advance the hobby forward, to grow the hobby, to introduce it to new audiences, to bring in new collectors, new investors. I know the term investor can be a little poo-poo in this industry, but I think we need a shade of both. So we're really excited about this. Dave, I'll let you talk a little bit about the overall process, how it works. I will give David a lot of credit. This was very much one of David's original children, because I said children, not child, because David has a lot of ideas. Anyone who knows David has a lot of ideas. But we're really excited about this. This is something unique and different for the hobby, and I think it probably has some interesting appeal for collectors, investors, and I think it's something that the hobby, once they get it, will really gravitate towards it.
Wow, way to put me on the fucking spot. All right, one thing I will say, whether it's Spinatron, whether it's Sniper Manus, like there's so many smart people that are definitely either in this sphere, in this chat, etc. I think that when you're a part of the hobby, when you're a part of the hobby experience, especially in a hobby like this, where there's so many different subsections, where there's so many different people that do different things, want different things. I want to touch cards. I want to see cards. I want to own a fractional piece of a card. Probably not, but some of you for sure. At the end of the day, DM us your ideas on BWIC, because the only truly interesting part of BWIC is that we're not testing it in the hobby. This isn't something that we came up with like out of nowhere. So Sniper Manus is a bond trader, right? This is definitely like a credit. It's a CDS. Like people trade this every day in public markets. So when I was a trader, I had to deal with BWICs here and there. A BWIC is essentially a way to price hard-to-price assets. So if there's an asset or a series of assets or securities that don't trade often, that are hard to price, that, you know, a hedge fund, money manager, a bank are afraid that they're going to misprice, they'll put it through a BWIC. The process of a BWIC is simple. It's a price discovery tool, right? So what we decided was, frankly, sports cards are hard to price. You know, there's not always a definite price of a card. Even cards that we know transact often, you know, PWCC has eye appeal. Mike Baker has his stamp. You know, different people believe that different cards in graded examples are better than others, right? So in a world where everything is subjective, it's the easiest way. Offer your price, right? So I think that I actually really think that we have a fair market mentality, right? You have eBay traditionally, Golden stepped up, Collectors Universe has public markets knowledge, private markets knowledge, Golden's knowledge, PWCC has stepped up and created their own marketplace, right? So for all the people that say there's too many marketplaces, there's hundreds of venues to trade public securities. If you're a hedge fund manager, there's hundreds of venues, there's hundreds of technologies, right? So I'm a trader. I trade in the darks. I trade out loud. I snipe liquidity, right? There's so many different products. There's so many different companies that I use. At the end of the day, too many companies is never too many. If you are seeking liquidity, you want as many venues of liquidity as possible to get the best price. This whole market, this whole industry is based on price discovery. Where we are losing right now is that there is no reason for a buyer to pay up. If I'm going to an auction, I can see the same cards in this month's auction that I'll see in next month's auction. What's the onus on me to fucking pay? Most likely currently in this sphere, zero, right? So here's BWIC. BWIC creates a reason for buyers to come out with their best offer. You get one bid potentially to get you to the next round. Educate yourself on the asset. You're most likely only bidding if you want to own the asset. You know what you're looking for, right? If you're a seller, it's not binary. It's not an auction. It's a process. You are not selling the asset unless you get your price. You can get a range, and trust me, we put teeth into the process where there is most likely a little bit of pressure on a seller to sell, for sure. Like, you're not paying us 5% for price discovery, right? You want to sell the asset, sell the asset. Either way, long story short, it is a unshillable genuinely honest process where honest bidders are going to meet honest sellers, and you're either going to come to a price or you're not going to come to a price. And it works the same way in public markets. Hedge funds do it the same way. Family offices do it the same way. Banks do it the same way. And it was the most obvious transactional tool that as a financial technology company we could introduce, because frankly, listen, we got it. Not everyone wants to buy a piece of something. And at the end of the day, we're not perfect and we're not in the pricing game, right? Fractional has a ton of benefits, but it has a ton of just like minor imperfections that just come across with timing. This is in real time. BWIC is in real time. And that's why I love it. That's why I introduced it. That's why Ezra loved it. That's why Ezra signed off on it. It's a imperfect, perfect process. Sorry, I rant. I talk too much.
Yeah,
David,
it's just
Me.
David, could you start over, man? It broke up about halfway through.
No, and tell Stiff to stop. Seriously.
Here's a very, very quick summary of how it goes, right? So it's a competitive bidding process. The whole process is 7 days, right? 7 days only. It's broken up into 2 parts, right? So the first 5 days is what's called the qualifying round, as David alluded to, right? In the qualifying round, any bidders, and this is open to anyone all across the world, right? Everyone gets one bid and one bid only. All of it is completely sealed, right? So you don't know who's bidding against you. You don't know the price anyone else is bidding. All that matters is what you're willing to pay for that asset in that first round. The top 3 and only the top 3 fully verified bids advance to the second round, which is called the final round. The final round lasts 2 days. Just the top 3, right? The top 3 get one more best and final bid, and ultimately that best bid of the top 3 is ultimately presented to the consignor, to the seller, where they have the right to either sell the asset at the price or not to sell the asset at that price. Concurrently, there's also a fractional ownership bidding process as well, right? So if you can't afford $1 million asset, but you can afford a fractional ownership interest in it, you can bid as part of a new product also called group bidding, right? So you can either bid as an individual or bid as a group. The fractional bid ultimately competes against the individual bid, and whoever wins, right? Whoever the highest bid emerges at the end of the day wins, right? So it's a really interesting tool that expands the depth of buyer pools. You can, again, sell into a group or sell to the individual, whichever one has, at the end of the day, a higher bid for the asset.
Got it. That sounds exciting. Okay. Let me pass it to Josh. Josh?
Yeah.
Take it away, buddy. Do you have any questions for these guys?
I do. How do you decide when an item comes through? How do you decide whether it goes through the fractional route that you guys had before versus the new one? Is it up to the consignor or is it up to you guys to decide where it goes?
Yeah, great question there, right? So, with fractional ownership, the way we've been doing it to date, right? And again, fractional has worked. We've done $55 million of completed fractional transactions, 28 exits above IPO price, average return 60% above IPO. We have 100,000 users, right? Fractional has categorically worked. Obviously, it works better in rising markets than it does in declining markets, but that's true of anything, right? Everything works better in a bull market than it does in a bear market. This process is really geared perfectly for assets that are difficult to price, right? Because, on one-on-ones, on grails, things that haven't sold in 10 years, right? One-on-one memorabilia, you name it, right? There's no obvious market clearing price. And there's a lot of cards, no matter how good the auction house is going to do, and the auction house is doing an amazing job, right? There's some assets that just frankly, I hear this, David hears this, you guys hear this, you guys probably experience it. Some assets are not auction assets. There's too much binary risk, right? So this is a really great pricing tool where people can put assets that otherwise would not hit the market to the market, see what the market's willing to bear on it, and then ultimately decide at that point, do you want to sell it or do you not? Fractional is amazing in so many different ways, and it works really well for assets where the price is explainable. The price is justifiable, and the price is something that hundreds, if not thousands, of people can agree to. So it really comes down to what the asset is, and we'll use fractional, we'll use BWIC, and we'll use a whole other suite of services that we have as well to sort of move assets in whatever ways we think is best for the consigner. And obviously, the consigner, the seller, will have a lot of input in that as well.
And I want to touch on binary risk for a second, right? I think that Chris actually championed this, right? If you look at the best Instagram accounts in the hobby, the best influencers in the hobby, and Cage, I love you. Like, I saw your comment, like, totally love you. Not a Zoom, but seriously, show cards, right? Show your cards. People want to see cards. People love cards. We're all here for cards, right? But at the end of the day, this isn't about being an auction house. It's about satisfactory binary risk. We want to see new cards come to the market. We want to see cards that haven't transacted in a long time come to the market. This is a tool where you not only have price discovery as a seller, and I'm not selling the fucking product, but this is how it works, right? You are going to see better assets, better cards come to the market, and better buyers come to the table to be attracted to those cards because there's no binary risk. If you simply want price discovery, take the price discovery. The hobby deserves that price discovery. People should see assets that haven't transacted in 4 or 5 years. And to me, like I said to Ezra flat out, if we sell 1 asset or 2 assets on this first BWIC, it's a proof of concept. It's a win, right? At the end of the day, this is more about just simplifying the transactional process. And I hope everyone copies us. I hope Golden does this. I hope PWCC does this. I hope all of our contemporaries do something similar to this because it is a simpler way to transact that protects buyers and sellers. And if that's my contribution, great.
That's cool, man. That really appreciate the thoroughness. Josh, did you want to follow up right there, buddy?
I kind of just want to know, like, does the consigner choose basically? Like the person that brings the item, or do they say like, I want it to go fractional or I want it to go the BWIC?
Yeah, so for the last year and a half, whatever it's been, Collectibles had really one way to kind of work with consigners, and that's the traditional fractional path. Now what we've built is a suite of tools and services that can do various different things. We have a private sales division, we have a marketplace division, we have a BWIC division, we have a fractional division, we have essentially a fractional express division only available to accredited investors, but we can sort of get things out the door quickly. We're doing our first sort of verified accredited investor only offering tomorrow, surprise drop at Joe Burrow NTRPA. We got that out in 1 day, right? So there's now Collectible has 4 or 5 different ways that we can work with consigners that I think are really unique and different, right? And so, all Collectibles tried to do since we started is just move the hobby forward, elevate the hobby, innovate, try to kind of introduce new products that hadn't existed before. And ultimately, I think collectors will decide what they think is the best tool for them. And by the way, BWIC will not be the best tool for everybody. Fractional will be the best tool for everybody, right? Fractional is great because you get partial liquidity. You can retain some equity. That's a lot of the reasons why consigners loves it. You believe in your card, you believe in your grail, you want some liquidity. Fractional is amazing for you, right? You want immediate, transactions. Fractional is not good for you because you have to wait for SEC, the SEC to approve it, right? BWIC, you want price discovery, you want, the ability to kind of have optionality. BWIC is perfect for you, right? So it's just, there's new sales channels that collectors should be aware of. And ultimately the collector gets to decide who they think and what process they think is best for their own cards. I think that's what's exciting, right? So many companies, not just Collectible. Card Ladder is a perfect example. You guys really started when Collectible did. You guys brought an amazing innovation to the hobby, that also helps with pricing assets, right? So, I think all this is really just a great indication of the amount of intellectual capital that has come into the space and how the hobby continues to elevate, continues to move forward. And we're really excited by it.
So Cage just asked a great question. What makes us the most qualified? to offer Buick, honestly, I hope everyone actually offers it. Like, I truly want this to be a sales tool for everybody. Price discovery is everything in this industry. Your business, Chris, Josh, Christina, is based on data. Let the data speak for itself. We're never going to grow the hobby unless everyone sees a full sphere of assets.
Definitely. No, well said. Okay, so I have one question before I let you guys go, and if Josh has any to follow up after that, that's great too. My question was just, so as a potentially interested person in submitting a bid to the first round and hoping to make the second, what percentage of the time, realistically, do you guys expect that the seller is going to ultimately end up accepting one of the bids submitted in the final round? Because as a bidder, I see a car that I'm interested in and want to throw a bid in there. But if I feel like these are only getting accepted 20 or 30% of the time, maybe I'm going to be like, do I want to go through the motions? But maybe other people disagree with that. But I guess that's where the heart of my question is coming from. Is like, as a bidder, how do I know my time is being well spent doing the research and sending in a bid?
So,
Great
do you
question.
want to handle that?
I can try to, and if I stumble, Dave, you'll be there to catch me, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, look, this is very curated, right? So we're only doing this to start on 25 lots. Ultimately, that could expand, but we're really curating assets and really curating consigners in the process, right? Who we believe are putting fair valuations on their things. We use essentially what's called a context price. That's a minimum clearing price, right? So we use that to essentially establish, what we think is a reasonable fair value for the estimate, right? So we're really curating assets and curating consigners to make sure that sellers are really looking to sell if they get a competitive bid, right? This is not a process where you're going to sell something for far less than you thought. This is not a binary risk auction. Auctions do a great job, but this is not a binary risk auction, right? So our job in this is to curate great assets, but also consigners who are realistic with their minimum clearing prices. And ultimately, if bidders show up and bid competitively, then assets will transact.
Yeah.
So here's what Ezra is also not saying, which is the beauty of Buick. So in art auctions, right, at Sotheby's, at Christie's, people have the ability to put in a guaranteed bid. So what a guaranteed bid is somebody's putting up the risk to guarantee the auction house a certain amount of money for an asset, and then they participate in the upside above their guarantee. So with Buick, what we decided to do to incentivize buyers is we split our fee if an asset does not sell and somebody takes in price discovery. If a seller, a consignor, does not transact, the fee that we take in, we split with the highest bidder.
Interesting.
At the end of the day, you want people to bid strong. You want people to be educated on what they're buying. You're not coming to us, you're not coming to Buick. If you're throwing shit at the wall, sorry, I'm not as eloquent as Ezra, you're not going to bid on 10 assets. You're coming for that one asset you want to own. You're coming for Eric Meyer's 97 Stars Kobe, or the Jordan, or the 52 Bowman 10 SGC, right? Like, you want to own these assets. We're getting them for you. But if you don't win and you're the highest bid, and we are taking that fee, 2.5% to you, 2.5% to us.
Got it. Okay, so that's a pretty strong incentive to ultimately take a bid if there's still going to be some costs on the other end if you don't. So
correct.
Yeah,
it's teeth.
That's great. That's just super interesting. Okay, so that's all I've got. Christina actually has a list of 10 questions for you guys, but she says she's going to email them over rather than ask them on the show.
It's past Ezra's bedtime.
Yeah, we've kept up Ezra way too long.
He's got to wake up early with the kids tomorrow.
Okay.
So
I've got a 3-year-old. I have a 1-year-old. So my day's gonna start at 5:30 tomorrow. I'm usually in bed, by the way, by 10 o'clock max.
Okay.
I'm well past my bedtime here. But for you guys,
Nice.
I show up always.
Nice.
My wife's in Montreal. I'm in New York City by myself. I'm going out.
Okay, that's
I'm out. I'm going out. We're having fun.
Talk about a fork in the road there. Two different paths.
I think
okay.
she's watching
Josh,
right now, so I love
Let me
it.
throw it to Josh to bring us home. If he's got any questions, or if not, we'll wrap it there.
Nope, I'm good. Thanks for joining, guys.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thanks
guys.
a lot for coming on, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Night.
Best of
Yeah,
luck.
we got it.
Bye bye.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
The Crossover. Join the chat and participate live on The Crossover every Friday night on Instagram. The Crossover. Don't miss it.